So it was important to me to rewrite it because I try my best to do the best I can in everything. So getting a 2 my very first try was very underwhelming. I really was wanting a 3, maybe a 4 if I could get it. And the fact that I was able to have 3 tries at the test enabled me to get that 4. And that shows me that me working hard to get what I want paid off.
Scar is the person that looks out for me in the school, and I know she will because she always has everyone's back 100%.
Miss Hartman and Miss Rideouts.
The 2 people in the school that care about me are Miss Scar and Miss Linton. I know they care about me because Miss Scar is always there for me and always asking me how I'm doing, and Miss Linton is always there for me as well and checking up on me.
Miss Armitage and Mr. Perdo. Mrs. Dirksen and Mrs. Magnus.
Miss Pullman and Miss Rideout.
Miss Ken, Miss Magnus.
Miss Parson and Miss Catlow.
2 adults I picked is Miss Rideout and Miss Hedstrom.
The 2 adults I picked is Miss Armitage and Miss Rideout. I choose Mrs. Cat. I chose Mrs. Cat because she is kind, supportive, and very helpful. She helps Miss Rideout sometimes on some hard to do stuff. She also helps me she kind of helps me sometimes and gives me encouragement.
Mr. Cross and Mrs. Scar because they've helped me with things in the past, and if I need anything, I can go to them.
Miss Magnus and Miss Rideout.
Miss Wood and Miss D.
The 2 people I trust are Miss Raymond and Miss Armitage.
Why I like to get help from Mrs. Rideout and Mrs. Armitage, because they actually explain it very well, and they help me with at least one equation, and then I get the answer and I get the message what I have to do.
The two adults I trust is Miss Parsons and Miss Tate.
Mr. Wood and Mr. Ray.
Miss Best and Miss Scar.
Miss Derrickson and Miss Parsons.
Miss Hedstrom and Miss Linton.
Mr. Mickelson, because he's someone that I can always go to, and he's one of the most honest people.
Scar, because I can always go to her when I need something.
Heroes has given FLESS a chance to provide a safe space for the students to be open with their identity and sexuality.
The culture room makes me feel like I belong. It gives me a space to hang out, and Miss Scar and Miss Brandy and Miss Parsons makes me feel like I belong. And when the teachers say good morning to me in the hallways, that makes me feel like I belong.
I'm so excited that everyone is here today at FLESS and that you're continuing on the tradition to honor survivors of residential school, survivors of Indian Lejac residential school. You know, we know that it's only 5 minutes from here, and today, as a whole school, I absolutely love that you're all going to be continuing to walk. So 3 years ago, they recovered bodies from the Kamloops Indian Residential School. 215 babies and children were recovered. Their bodies were recovered. And so when we remember and when we honor survivors, we also remember the children who didn't survive. We also remember those babies and those children who didn't come home. And so today at FLESS, I'm so honored that you guys, that all of you are walking for these little children. There were some children who went to Lejac. There were a lot of children who went to Lejac Residential School. And we know that things happened at that school that the children didn't want to be at the school. So there were 4 boys. There were 4 boys in the winter time who wanted to go home. They wanted to go home. Their names were Alan Patrick Willie, Andrew Paul Morris, Andrew H, Paul Morris, Justin, Johnny Michael. Those were the 4 boys. They were ages 7, 8, and 9. 7, 8, and 9 years old. That's how old they were. But there were 4 of them, and they ran away from Lejac in the wintertime. They ran away on January 1st. And could you imagine how cold it would have been? It probably was 40 below. And they're probably wearing just small clothes, just not even a winter jacket and winter pants. So they ran from Lejac, and they ran away, and they made it 1.2 kilometers from Lejac. No, 1.2 kilometers. That's how far they ran. They ran that far in the winter time, but they didn't quite make it home. No, sorry. They ran actually, they were only 1.2 kilometers from Notley. They were 1.2 kilometers from Notley. And that's where they froze, on Fraser Lake. They froze on the ice. There was 4 of them, and they huddled together. And so, as a school, we remember all the children and everything that they experienced, that they didn't want to go to that school. And so they ran away, but they didn't survive from that. And so as a whole school, in their memory, in honor of those 4 boys, you're gonna walk 1.2 kilometers and you're gonna walk them home. And I want you to think about these boys, and I want you to just remember them, because you're honoring them as a school today. And that is the best thing that you can do. That is the best thing that you can do for survivors and for those children who did not survive. And so I know our hearts are heavy thinking about the sadness, but this is why Sabina and I are here, so we can help sing and drum and lift up your spirits as well. So in honor of the 4 boys, we're going to start this walk. But I would like to invite Sabina up to come and share a song because our hearts are heavy.
We are still Latin.
We are not Lewitan.
We are Chalaco Crescent.
We are Indaco.
We are Fraser Lake.
FLESS está.
We are still Latin.
We are in Daco Avenue.
We're in Fraser Lake.
Ready? We are Fraser Lake!
We are Fraser Lake.
We are not Lewitan.
We are FLESS.
We are Stalactity.
We are FLESS.
New some FLESS.
We are FLESS.
We are FLESS.
We are FLESS.
We are FLESS.